Welcome to Baron's Hideout Podcast. I'm your host, Dustin,
My co-host Aaron.
and today I have a very, very, very special guest on that we've been actually wanting to talk to for a while, and we're very surprised we're get her on. That is the amazing Lynch, the founder, creator, the brains behind Salem Horror Fest, and this is very special to me, especially to Aaron. There was a couple of years ago, we were looking for local fests, stuff that were happening around the area because we live in Massachusetts based fest as Salem Horror Fest on it. And I didn't know Salem was having anything. This is around, I think, 2017, 18.
I think the first year we went was there.
Yes. Yep. So we went there, we met them, and we kind of just fell in love with everything that was going on. So we will let the mastermind head and introduce himself.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming on.
Yeah, it's great.
So great to see you, and even in the COVID times, it was cool to hang out with you.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it was very crazy. I'm glad that everybody there this year, was very nice to everybody. That's another thing that I want to say about this fest is how nice and
Supportive everyone is.
and welcoming everybody is there, whether it's the directors, the actors, viewers, you yourself. You are always presentable and amazing there. You're always taking the time to kind of go and talk to everybody. And
He's super down to earth, and
yeah, it's great, and I really do want to thank you for doing this every year. And I know you do literally everything yourself, except for probably what the 6 months leading up to get everybody to start screening movies and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, we have a great jury. The submissions have blown up over the last couple of years, and so we've had to really grow that jury. So I definitely, when we started, I was watching. It was me, and two other people who were watching them. But this year we had almost 50 people on the jury.
Wow. I was actually gonna submit in to do it, but I was so buried in everything else on the podcast. I was like, damn it! I would love to be able to watch this movie for everybody else and screen it, but I was like, you know what? I'll let everybody else do it, and I'll just be the one that's gonna go watch it. And then if this one strikes us, we'll podcast. Did for quite a few movies. We're lucky enough to interview Rebecca Kennedy from Two Witches. Amazing. So that's another great opportunity and things that you have been able to give other people outside of just what's happening in the walls of the fest. It's amazing the reach that other podcasts and anybody can go and talk to anybody, and how most of the directors and the actors were there too. Were able to talk to them after their showings. It was super fun.
good way for people to who aren't quite into horror yet to kind of get introduced and have a good start to getting into
Yeah.
the scene.
Exactly. So I wanted to ask, before Salem Horror Fest, really became Salem Horror Fest, what was your real main goal back then? Because I know you started with the shorts. This was in what year? 2000.
Yeah,
Before that.
2015. I had done a program that was kind of like a mix of theater, shorts, and rock music in 2012.
Oh
Mhm.
wow.
In 2013, but that was its own project. That was Scary Mary and the Audio Corset. But then 2015 is when we started Wicked Shorts. And so we did 2015, 2016. In October, we did the shorts program. And then in 2016, we added a holiday one. So we did three in December. We did three Wicked Shorts programs before the actual festival was launched.
I really wish I knew about this then, because that seems fun. Just really small, amount of all these shorts and everything, especially all the shorts that you get every year. There's a lot of them. There was more this year than I think there was last year. And that was the
Yeah.
virtual fest, and it was like, wow, It was what 2 different days, and each day had different ones in it, and I was just blown away by how amazing all these artists, directors, actors, and everything are. Because shorts, I always felt is more important than a full length feature.
Because you cram so much more into it, you know. It's
Yeah.
just such a short amount of.
And you're trying to tell a story in like 5 minutes. It's amazing. It's something that I want to do. I'm not a filmmaker. We do have sort of something that we're working on right here behind the scenes. I want to do podcast, but that's going to be something that's going to episodes if it aligns right with what I want to do. But that's something that I've wanted to do, is create like a short and just do it with friends and put up and see if something sticks. So seeing the amount that you can gather every year is astonishing. Great. And
yeah, it keeps growing. This year we had 800 submissions. It was so overwhelming.
Are you already getting submissions for next year, or?
we haven't opened submissions.
Oh, okay.
Yet, so not yet. But it was more than 100% increase over 2020. And yeah, the reason we showed so many shorts is because I hate saying no.
I'm the same way.
Honestly, I don't blame you.
So typically in the past, our qualifying sort of time frame was 2 hours. So it would be the top rated 2 hours out of all the submissions that we receive. And but there was just so many good ones that I was like, all right, let's double it to 4 hours and turn it into we did 2 different programs that each got screened twice. And then of course they were on the virtual program, but I started with Alter. We did a collection with Alter of some that were high rated but just couldn't quite make the cut. And so overall, we ended up featuring over 50 individual shorts in one way or another. It's crazy. But I'm really glad we were able to do that, and very thankful to Alter for giving us that opportunity. And I love the shorts. I feel like I wish there was a bigger audience for them in general. I mean,
I feel the same way.
People who go to festivals appreciate them and they seek them out. But year round, like just sort of like normal or average media consumption, people don't. The streaming platforms don't even usually have shorts.
Not really.
So I love to give that some extra love. It's always a great opportunity to support independent filmmakers. It's an opportunity for them to show off what they're capable of, to tell the stories that they want to tell. And you don't need a ton of money. I mean, everything costs money, but you can.
The startup costs aren't quite as much as a full movie.
And you're only limited by your imagination, so you
exactly
can do it strategically. And what I find is that for a horror festival, the craziest shit, or if you want to see the craziest shit, watch the shorts.
For sure.
Because the diversity of stories, because it's easy, a lower bar of entry for people to tell a short story, you get a lot wider sort of array of voices and talent, but also the format. There's a lot of cool ideas that couldn't support a feature. And they're just like, this is sort of like only one cool scene. I don't know how I turn it into a full movie. So because of that format and that freedom, the flexibility, I think you see a lot of crazier shit, because you can see some things that will only really sustain 5 minutes or whatnot.
I agree on that a lot.
And what we tell people who want to submit is or want to create a short, and if you're interested in being in festivals, my biggest advice is to make it as short as it possible for that idea or that story, precisely because, like I said, there's so many, we have to fit in a certain time frame. And so I'd rather show more, a lot more shorter films than just a couple longer ones. And so it's even more crucial in a short than a feature that every minute sort of counts.
Exactly.
Everything's purposeful. And then just from a jury standpoint, it's like we're watching so many, so to get a hook in quick and don't let your idea peter out. Just kind of keep it to its like most
straight to the point, essentially.
Yeah. And it's not to say if it's requires to be if it needs to be longer, then make it longer. But I always encourage people to just think efficiently in their storytelling.
Yeah,
I agree on that.
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Especially
well,
if you're...
and that can be harder.
It can be,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, especially with trying to get like a story out, and you want to get straight to that point. That's definitely the way to do it. Make it as short as possible. Don't have a lot of people in them unless you need a lot of people. But like usually the fewer amount of people in a short, I feel like it comes across a lot easier and better, in my opinion, instead of like ones that have like 15, 20 people in them, and it's like a 5 minute, like a 5 minute short. You have 20 people. There's a lot of characters you have to run through. So just like keep it to like 5 and less, is my opinion. Anyway, watching a lot of these shorts.
It's what I like about shorts with fewer characters or a single character even is it's a lot more intimate.
Exactly.
You feel like you know the character.
Exactly. In some cases, you feel like you're there because you're like, the witness to whatever's happening. And everything that happens, I think, just seems more personal. Like, it feels like you're more directly in their headspace and you're
experiencing it yourself.
Right.
Almost,
with them. So if you have multiple characters in the scene, then that's not everything has to be intimate. You don't have to tell the intimate story, but like you got to control the attention and control the focus.
One other thing I do want to talk about, this year was really special for you in Salem Horror Fest because you were associated with the George A. Romero Foundation, which I thought was amazing. Like, how did this come to be? Did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? I'm just very interested in how this whole thing kind of came together.
Yeah, it was kismet. I reached out to them because I wanted to start a fellowship program for our filmmakers and just find ways to allocate resources to support them. So I came up with the idea to start this fellowship where we would a mentorship program. So we would select a few filmmakers to be mentored by people currently working in the industry, and I wanted to name it after George because I think he just best represents sort of the grassroots punk rock, do-it-yourself cinema and filmmaking, and I thought it would be a really cool, the kind of spirit we want to evoke and support in other people. Also him being a local filmmaker, he did everything in Pittsburgh for a while, at least where he got a start. So I had reached out to them simply to just ask if we could use his name, like just to like dedicate it to Romero. And they were like, this is something we've actually been wanting to do, but haven't had the bandwidth. So it was kind of a perfect opportunity. So we just kind of teamed up, and this is our first year, so we're learning as we go. But this is intended to grow over time as we figure out how we can, learn more about how we can better support filmmakers.
I think it's a great choice for the festival. Because it's like every year you're evolving. Last year you had to evolve because of the pandemic, so you had to go to the virtual fest. That was also continued to the year, but it was later on in October. There was the physical sit down beginning of October and virtual fest. So yeah, I think it's just a natural progression for the fest, and I can't wait to see what's going to be happening next year and what you have already going on in your mind of what you want to do or anything like that. Like, we're super excited. We'll be there for everything. Anything that you do, we're always here. And we try always to make sure that we're shouting you out. Because I think out of all the things that happen, especially in this day and age with, like, crazy political stuff, which you've definitely ran into a lot with. Had to change venues due to it, which was absolutely disgusting of what happened and everything. And I feel for what you had to do. We fully support everything, all your views, and political, non-political. We're always there. I love everything you preach and how you're always standing by your core values and you're never going to change just to please somebody. You're doing it because you're doing it for you and to better everybody else, and to make sure what you're doing is a safe haven for everybody, trying to include as much people as possible. I love that so much about you, and I can't thank you enough for really being the voice for a lot of people who don't really have a voice, especially in a horror. There's a lot of people out there who cling to horror because of how diverse and open the community is, but there's also a lot of bad eggs in there.
Yeah, like any kind of community.
But I feel like everybody, including yourself and with the fest, have been really weeding them out and getting rid of them, which is really good. I see it a lot on Twitter. A lot of people always standing with people and making sure people are protected when they are protected, and the people who need to be
each other.
kind of kicked out, or like, you get out of here, go away. So yeah, that's definitely something that I look up to you for, is just how open and how much of don't give a shit. Like, you just do what you need to do to get your shit done, and fuck everybody else who doesn't like it. And I don't know.
We need more people like you in this world.
Exactly. And that's why I love this fest so much, is because it's everything that you stand for. It's everything that you want to be out there, everything that you want people to know about. And over the past couple of years, I've been seeing so many more people talk about it, or podcasts picking it up, which is amazing. A lot more coverage everywhere. I mean, you have people coming out with VHSs of your shorts now. I mean, it's a not really a dead format, because it is kind of coming back, like with vinyls and everything.
Cassette tapes, and
I have so many
everything.
vinyls and tapes now. It's crazy how old things are becoming new things again.
People are starting to appreciate it more.
Yeah, exactly. So seriously, everything that you say is amazing, and keep doing what you're doing. Fuck the haters. Seriously.
Thank you so much. Oh my god, that is so sweet. It's a lot. Like a lot. Like I I can be quite dramatic, but it is with purpose.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, and you definitely do. You're just like, screw it, I'm doing it.
I just like
People
that
need to know.
Yeah.
A big reason why I decided to lean into it was, when crazy things are happening in the world, there's always the incentives to kind of like not address it are always greater than actually calling shit out. And so
100%.
because of that, businesses, people, they don't want to rock the boat. They just kind of look the other way. And what I found, in the last 5 years, especially, was when things just got more and more crazy, and not seeing people like talk about it, it makes you feel crazy. Like, you're like, is anyone else seeing?
Yeah,
really?
I'm on.
Nobody
on
else
that.
see what's going on right now.
Exactly. And so that was a big reason why I'm like, all right, it might seem dramatic or just self-centered to kind of like put these sort of political observations or statements out there. It's really just to be a voice that people can go, okay, it's not just me. This is crazy. It's someone else, because there's so few that are doing that. And I know when I see people stand out like that, or stick their reputation and the name on the line, it does make me feel better to know. And being a horror festival, it's also kind of like a sweet spot, because one, I think it fits in with sort of the themes and the legacy of the horror genre, to reflect the cultural anxieties, but also I can get away with a lot because we're a horror festival. So people can be like, they can hate me, or they can hate the fest, and, be loud and vocal complaining about it. But most of the world's going to say, okay, it's a horror fest. Who gives a shit?
That's very true. It really is. And that's also really crazy to think too. Horror's gotten so big over, like, people realize it because everybody's sticking to other sides of the world, other types of genres. But horror, as I want to say, as a community, not so much as like a. I mean, how many conventions are out there for comedies or dramas? There isn't. Horror convention.
Yeah.
You don't go to a drama convention unless like you're an actor or something. Drama, that might be a separate thing, but not for like a public.
But even
viewing,
then,
you know?
actors usually go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
A bigger yeah.
And
Yeah.
crazy to me. Still, till this day, push genre aside. But then look at the box office, and this year, horror has been dominating everything.
And think of all the remakes that are coming out. New original movies, even just like on Netflix.
Exactly.
And like
it's crazy that people are still to this day. It's like, yeah, it's just a horror movie. Yeah, whatever. But it's growing.
Yeah, but that's to our advantage.
Exactly. You know, and like
and mold all these new minds join the community.
Yeah. That one's everybody's part to do. We're also making better and better for my opinion.
Absolutely.
But I don't know if there's any last topics you want to touch on for Salem Horror Fest, if you have any next year or anything else before we jump into this slightly short, weird review of Deadly Games, aka Valid Code.
Not much to tease right now. I'm just still
relaxing.
Well, I wish.
Oh yeah, you're probably always busy.
I'm still resolving all the 2021 and looking ahead to 2022. So I definitely have some ideas, and I'm talking to some venues and keeping an eye on COVID. That's the big thing right now.
Yep,
it's just
same.
Yeah.
Get my booster shot next week. Can't wait.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, because it's hard to plan for scope, of the fest without knowing like, okay, where we're going to be at. What I really liked about this year though is that because we didn't do single admission, it was all badge only. It was the same group of people throughout the weekend.
Yeah.
And so it was a little more intimate, but I really appreciated that because I think that there were a lot more personal connections made. And with so many of the filmmakers who attended the access.
Crazy. How many people?
Oh, that's good.
Talk to you. You're like, hey, I saw you yesterday. Yeah, you like that movie, right? And it was great. Just being able to just talk to random people that you saw every weekend. It was great.
Yeah, it can be a challenge because October is such like a shit show.
Especially in Salem.
or October in Salem. Yeah, it's just there's so many people, there's a lot of chaos. It's a tiny little city. So there's a sort of like chaotic energy about it. So in previous years, it's been kind of hard to get a pulse of like how the festival is going with people because it's just been a zoo. But this year, by having it much more controlled and contained, it was really very unique, direct experience. And so I want to figure out ways to keep that alive moving forward.
I'm with that. I like that. A very good way to kind of keep it going. I mean, it would be good to eventually have people come from the outside who aren't badge holders go in there, but like you said, like it's so hard to judge to see if that's even going to be a possible thing because it's just COVID is still getting worse. There's a new variant coming out, and that's why I'm getting my booster because I'm like I'm not going to get in touch with this. And yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm gonna be getting VIP like I do every year, so I'll be there every day. Aaron will be with me every day too. We always get VIP. Support as much as we possibly can. We supported a lot with the abortion that you were doing this year too, trying to give them the money that they need down in Texas, which they still do need. Support them as much as possible over there because it's always a never-ending battle there, and it's sad. It's very, very sad, but that's the harsh reality of everything, But I think that's pretty much all I have for questions for you this year. Aaron, is there anything that you want to spitball before we jump into this?
No, nothing's popping in my head, honestly.
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered
Yeah,
everything.
thank you.
You feeling good, Kay, about that? Is there anything that I missed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just thank you. I just want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate what you said and your support over the years. It really means a lot to me.
Well, thank you, and
Thank you for coming on.
we're definitely not going anywhere. We'll always be here to support you. Keep doing what you're doing and be the rock star you are. So I think right now we're gonna go into this, I don't know, kind of unscripted, unhinged, whatever you want to call it, review of Deadly Games, aka
Perfect, just like the movie.
Exactly.
For real though.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go off the bat right now and just say, yeah, a lot of people are saying this is like, the Home Alone or equivalent. It came out a year before. It's French. It's good. The main character Tommy has a badass haircut. That's probably why
it's coming back though.
Yeah, that's probably why he got the role, to be honest.
It is fitting though. It worked.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I love like the knockoff "Eye of the Tiger" song that they have in the beginning.
I know, me too. And
Oh
the
my
Christmas, I think it's called Merry Christmas. Something. It's like
Oh.
a holiday rendition of Eye of the Tiger. It's so cool.
It's great. I didn't really go into too many facts just because the movie itself already has so much stuff it throws at you. Kay, I know you have like the 4K version of this. You have the Vinegar Syndrome version, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, it was the American Film Genre Archive restored it.
yeah. And I was reading up a little bit of facts. I guess this was kind of a lost film in a way, and then like was it 2018 it came back and went to festival. Or
yeah, it was
something I was reading. That's
I read some you can only get bootlegs for a while.
Yeah, like that's kind of crazy. That it took from 1989 all the way to like 2008 for this kind
to
of
see the light of day, basically.
resurface and go to. And guess what? Where did it go? A festival. So like this is where you got to go. Like Salem Horror Fest. I'm sure probably somewhere down the line you're gonna have stuff like this that resurfaces or something.
Oh,
no, that would be awesome. There to be like, this is a surface film that we just recently saw. Like
first time that's been seen in years.
That would be great for you. Like that would grow the festival up. Like, wow, this festival has surfaced films. Damn.
yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Well, we showed amusement, but we weren't the first. We were far from the first screening of it. But the amusement park, Romero's last 1973 film. Which is just fucking awesome, and I'm so glad to see that was released.
I saw it on Shudder first, and then I saw that you were playing. I was like, oh, now I can see it on the big screen. Hell yeah! So I did, and it was great.
It's so good.
It's good to see,
but
he's coming back up.
Yeah, well, and it's people like us in conversations like this that keep it alive, that make it so. I first heard of this movie on which show was it? It's Brian Salisbury and Cargill. What was it called? Junk Food Cinema.
Okay.
And I think it might have. I don't know. I don't remember if it was a topic. It must have been a topic.
I would probably imagine it. It must have been.
Yeah, because they described it, essentially as like a harder edge Home Alone, and I was like, this movie sounds fucking awesome. So and that was years before they announced the restoration. So I'm so glad that it exists, that so many more people have seen it, to be this sort of like legendary film that no one can watch, to it now being available on Shudder is so cool.
One thing I do have to say, like, we love Shudder. Almost all the movies that we are on Shudder. If you're a horror fan, I don't know what you're doing with your life if you don't have a Shudder subscription. It's
seriously
like $7 a month. You can get 7 days free by doing a trial, and they have so much stuff, and they're always adding. They have great shows on, and they bring stuff like this to light, like lost films, stuff like that. Like they had The Devils earlier in the year, which is crazy. That's a very controversial film. I saw that 3
another
times.
kind of lost film, or difficult to access film over the years.
Yeah, I mean, they had like a different version of it because it's like 5 or some odd number of versions of it because things were cut out because of how crazy it was. I really enjoyed that. I was like, I need to watch this as many times as possible. Take it away. and it was 3 months, and like, sorry, we got to get rid of it.
I know, it was
Devils?
so quick.
Devils, yeah, I don't think you got
I
a
don't
chance
think
to
I've
watch
seen
that
it,
one.
yeah.
I have a little bit
It's
more free
so
time
crazy.
watch movies. Aaron, he works in a restaurant, so he's like
Yeah, it was a week.
working his ass off.
Oh my goodness.
So, just for him to
Wow.
be here one day a week with me on Saturdays means the world to me.
Oh, well.
Sometimes we do it during the week if we have.
That's
Everybody,
wonderful.
give you applause to Aaron because he's a true champion over here. And also
Thank
thank
you.
you to Kay for being the warrior that you are every single. But back on topic with Deadly Games, Dial Code Santa Claus, whatever you want to call it. I have to say the Santa Claus character. One thing that I was asking myself was like, guys,
Is he just like a creed, or is he just one?
I don't know, because in the beginning he's playing with the kids, and they're kind of like, oh, he's not
Maybe
our
he had a
friends.
fucked up. They all ran
Possible.
away from him, and he was just. I think he's. Ever seen?
Happy, yeah, I think that was also a comic
Oh.
book.
But there's a meth head that kidnaps children, but you know it went back to his childhood and all that. That's where. But
But yeah, Kay, what do you think? Has any just doing his thing and goes
Just
with the
one-
Yeah,
flow?
it's quite elusive. I think, because it's like at first I thought, okay, this kid, this family's rich, so this would be a way to, I don't know, get into the house or get access to the family in some way for money. But it was like, no, I'm here to kill the kid. Like once he breaks in, that's all he's concerned about. So like the idea of like walking away with money was like, okay, well, I guess that's not his motivation
Nope.
here. So he's just some kind of psychopath.
yeah,
But also like, not all films need to be
you
literal.
don't need a whole
I- that-
backstory, a whole explanation.
No.
Yeah,
well, like the movie is so opulent, like this family's house, this castle.
oh, I
this
know. Yeah, I was
mansion
gonna
that
say they live in a castle.
Yeah, it's a cool. I think
this-
it's like an actual model that they built too, because like you can see in the shots, it's definitely a model thing. It's really cool. I
Yeah.
wonder if that's even like standing anywhere. I'm really curious to see if there's anything from this movie somewhere in the world.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
I would love to see
Yeah.
some sort of part of that something, because this kid has everything.
Oh, I know.
So many toys. He's got
What a
Generations
crossbows.
of toys. He has all
Yeah.
of his dad's toys, all of his grand. So that's why I see this more like a fairy tale. Like everything
Yeah.
is
it's
exaggerated.
like Richie
and-
Rich.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so the Santa, I think, is more of a symbol, or it's sort of this existential threat more than like an actual human being.
Yeah.
Like I kind of feel bad for him too, because it's a little creepy with the Santa Claus, because he was like on before it was the internet, and he's like arms talking to like
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
So like that kind of like gives you like the okay,
Mhm.
and then he goes
Definitely.
to apply at Tommy's mom's work to become a Santa Claus, and then talks to a kid, and he's like, "Oh, Santa Claus," and he slaps the kid. And then it's like, what are you doing? And then he gets fired. So I mean, I guess that might be a little bit of motivation right there for him to go back to the house, because when he was listening, and then also getting the information from Tommy earlier on, when he was meant to be like, okay, to go to security or whatever to get, pretty much be fired. And he leaves because he hears like information about the toys Tommy's gonna be getting from his mom. So he goes in the back of the van and kills the guy, and then also kills the caretakers, which we don't see any of that. I wonder if there's any lost scenes too that may have never made it to restoration. Actually, it might be slightly missing.
Yeah, because I was confused when he first showed up and the caretakers like answered the door. I was like, wait a minute, were they?
Yeah,
Were we at
I
someone
was-
else's house?
I was like, is this the main house? I didn't know there was another house down the
Right.
hill. So I was like, there's like something missing here, whether it was just they never shot it, or maybe there is lost
Or they just
scenes.
expected people to kind of figure it out.
I mean, it is a French
Right.
film in the '80s, so it could be. Thing.
Well, like I really would like to learn some more about France in the 80s
Oh
because
yeah.
I mean the amount of wealth that this family has,
Yeah,
and
you go
the
back to that
mom
time.
yeah, the mom just like it casually says, "Oh, I might buy this chain of toy stores," and her father's like, "Oh, don't you own enough toy stores already?" It's like, how much
No,
money does people have?
actually,
And
like, I'm gonna buy
and then, you know,
stock. Like,
the
wow, all right.
house has like surround sound in the hallways. So it's like
Cameras. He's got the gadget on his wrist,
I
which I've
know.
never seen at
yeah, it's
all.
super high tech.
That's like something from like nowadays. Like you do it on your phone.
All right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
just
and the Santa using which was like an ATM kind of thing.
Oh, I
Like
know. Yeah.
it wasn't a
It's
mobile
just in the middle of
cafe.
nowhere.
It was
Just in the.
yeah, it was like a kiosk where
yeah.
you could just I guess talk
He
to
has
your
to the
little
internet.
kids.
I didn't even think
And
those were a
obviously
thing back then.
Maybe there was in
either
France. We never had that here. I don't think. I wasn't born in the 80s, so I'm not
1989.
sure. So
I always say that we should.
1989, they had street internet.
yeah, it's like wow, that's future. That's the future right there. But yeah, just with him getting motive to go there, that's what I'm thinking. But also, I asked the question of how did he get down the chimney when Tommy was on the roof for high? How did he get all the way in the top of this building, drop down with a rope?
He's
Like-
Santa Claus.
I understand.
Yeah, because also he entered like to the ground level, right? That's where the
Yeah. It was
groundskeepers
just like,
were. So
here. And then super sad scene.
Ugh.
Dog.
I know.
Like, damn you. No, we don't like it when animals get dogs. Nothing but
And it's
children.
on screen. It's
No.
not even like an off-screen
Like-
death. It's like, here you go, cake knife in the dog's throat.
Yeah. And then like you even get even sadder when we get like the little like montage like flashbacks of him carrying the dog with
I
his
know.
tongue outside his
I
mouth. I'm like,
know.
what is going on? I'm like, I
And
can't
he's
take
just
this.
sobbing, and it's in slow motion, and then he, I don't know, like, he manages to do a lot in between,
Yeah.
like, trying to survive this
Yeah.
home invasion. But yeah, he buries the dog, and he's got a sword and a knife making a crucifix.
Yeah, which I think is pretty badass. Like that's cool, but like it's just so
So
sad.
badass, but also yeah, very sad.
Like it's a little
and
kid carrying a dog, and it's
that he
also
witnessed
like
get murdered by Santa.
God,
Makes you wonder too.
Which
Is like, did Tommy must, whether he's just like, I don't know, because like, he's prepared for this, I mean, I know
Seriously,
he's
you would
smart,
think he was
but
in Vietnam. He's
Yeah,
like a little
right?
kid, and
I
he
think
knows
there's
how to-
actually. I think they were trying to do like a callback or just like not really a callback, but just a nod to Commando because I think even the bedroom was a Commando poster when he's putting on the makeup.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. So I guess they were trying to like that in it, like hey, Commando, so it's in our film.
Yeah. Well,
but
there's a lot of kind of like Rambo influences.
Yeah.
Even Die. Like it definitely. I mean, it was before. Was it before Die Hard? It was around the same time.
I think
It was
Die Hard
90s,
was at 90.
Oh, really?
Maybe
I
I could be completely wrong. I'm awful with years and dates. Movies.
It's just this.
Aaron will look it up.
Okay. Yeah, because it kind of has that spirit a little bit. Like the little kid's kind of like yippee motherfucker.
Yeah.
And to. Oh no! Do you have it?
1988 was the.
Oh.
Okay.
So it came out a year
Okay.
before this. So I guess yeah, they probably played off a little bit of that.
Sort of contemporaries, because a lot of it really feels like it's commenting on like American action cinema.
Yeah,
Like, it
I
seems
feel
like
that.
it's a parody of a lot of the tropes because it's extremely like masculine and jingoist and just sort of like America fuck yeah, but it's
Yeah.
again it's like this little kid in France, so
And this
Yeah.
movie really puts you in the ringer too. Like it starts off kind of whimsical, like okay, this is gonna be kind of a goofy
Mhm.
horror movie, but then it gets serious with the dog being killed. But then it goes back to comedy with the train and the grenade that goes on for way too long.
it
And
goes
then,
on so long. I was like, because I hated that because I thought the grandfather was gonna die. I was like,
I know,
I
they
can't do this.
messed
If
with you
you're
so
gonna
much.
kill him
They
off,
teased you
like
so
get it
much with
over
that.
with.
There was like 5 different times. It's like Grandpa's gonna die.
I
No.
know.
He's in the toy room. Oh no, Tommy just magically comes over, pulls him out of the closet, and then locks the Santa Claus in there. Boy's got some great timing on everything.
Oh yeah.
And Grandpa, he's the hero of the film. He literally is, because he kills Santa Claus. Blindness. Can't see anything. I think they did a really good job with that visual of him not being able to,
Oh, with the blurry.
like they put
Yeah.
Vaseline on the
Or
lens.
something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was really, I like that.
It's so cute when what is it? He's like, I found the golden ring earlier
Yeah.
in the film. Like the kid, like it
When
gives
they're
him all
playing
these
like
sort
Dungeons
of like
and Dragons or something.
these like missions and challenges for him to do. And he's like, oh great, you're at level 1 now.
Yeah, we've
It's
been
so
playing this
cute.
for years, and you're still at level 1. Yeah, that was great. A lot of really cool scenes in this. Also, a lot of strong ones, and then you get even more confused with the Santa Claus because when he eventually takes off the tracker that Tommy put on him and puts it on, I think it's like the tank. He's like, "Oh, okay, now it's your turn. You're it." So it's like, is he just trying to play with Tommy this whole time? Is he confused at what he's doing? Like
Because
just,
in the car, was it in the car? Yeah, he's
The
like,
police car?
yeah, this little kid's driving a police car, calling in on the radio.
And they don't even
And-
question it.
that too. That's
Yeah,
another like
but
what?
But when Santa pops up, he says, "You cheated."
Yeah.
So it seems like there's this. It's really this straight up cat and mouse. Like his motivation is just to kill that kid. But almost in a playful, like a cat with its prey. Because
Yeah,
it's
he
like,
just toys with him.
Because even like when Tommy goes on the roof and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna fall, be careful." So it's like I don't know if he's just kind of poking fun at him or just snarky or whatever, saying that, for if he's like genuinely like, "Just be careful, you're gonna fall. I want to wait for you to come back in so we can actually play," or if it's with him really being snarky and he
it's
does
like,
want
don't
you
fall
to fall.
because I want to kill you. You know.
Yeah, it's very weird. But I love the whole dynamic of Tommy, Santa, also Grandpa.
I think it was casted pretty well. I think they all like did a good job at portraying the character,
Yeah,
especially Tommy.
exactly. This movie, I wouldn't say is a slow movie. There are scenes that are definitely slow, just like in this movie's end, like the grenade one. The montage one is a bit long, but they're kind of doing it just to kind of make you feel emotional and stuff. So I understand that one. Like there was another scene that was kind of long. I don't remember.
I wanted to know how far away the mom worked from.
I know, right?
House.
She
5 hours.
She spends the whole
Apparently.
movie on the road. Like, no one pick up the phone. It's like,
Going
why aren't you there
Fast
yet?
as hell too.
We also talk about the Santa's the like cheese knife that he picks up. It starts. It could just be me, but it looks like it gets bigger throughout the movie.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
Oh, maybe.
I was thinking
I
about
swear.
that. I was like, is that? I didn't know if that was a cake cutter
Or I don't know.
cheese,
Yeah, cake.
It was a weird-ass
I think
knife,
it was
though.
A cake knife, yeah.
something like that. But that's the one scene that's like still in my mind from last night. That and with his tongue hanging. Like,
You know what?
if you guys don't like seeing animals killed, you can watch this movie, but you'll have to skip a couple.
Yeah, I definitely had my eyes closed for that part because
But-
they do a good job of like signaling that it's gonna happen too. So it's kind of like, okay, this is not gonna end well. I'm just gonna look away.
It's just, and also at that point, the dog, what is his name? RJ? Is it
something like
RJ or JR?
JR.
JR. He's like,
Oh,
like Tommy's under the table.
He's like, get him, motherfucker. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, you got him. So like
Yeah,
at this
I know.
point, you feel very happy. It's like, okay, so Santa's probably just gonna be like, whoa, and like just pet him or whatever. But no, that's when it turns and it hits you super hard because it's out of nowhere and it's right into the throat and everything. I mean, there's like light kicks that they're doing with the dog. But I think that was a trainer. I think that I don't think the dog was actually harmed. I hope not.
too.
But just the way the kicks were, it looked like it was definitely
Yeah, because
fight.
it was also kind of slow mo, sort of
Yeah.
playing
Yeah,
with the speed of it.
yeah, but that knife came down right to the dog. The mood
It
of the
just set.
movie changed. Before I was like very, funny, comical, very genuine. It seemed very sweet, with all the
Yeah.
scenes with Tommy and Grandpa and everything. And then realizing like, oh yeah, well the mom works a lot. She has this, I guess, mega company of like she's like, I want everything on the streets. I want like clowns, Santas, everything on the
This
streets right
is
now.
this is the scariest part of the movie for me as an event person, because she's like, "Hi, I want to throw a parade and have a Christmas party in all our stores," and they're like, "It's Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
Like, how are we supposed to do this today?"
yeah,
And all in
exactly.
one day, she's just like, "Make it happen." I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, I
I was
couldn't.
so pissed.
I'd have a heart attack. I'd probably be dead that day. But like, nope, I'm done. Sorry.
Seriously, and
Also,
it's a very eventful Christmas Eve. I'm like, shit, a
Oh.
lot of
yeah, that street is
stuff goes
popping.
down.
And crazy. It's right next to the internet, so it's fine. Everybody can go over there and tell their
I
friends
know.
all over the internet that there's a party on the street. Come to this kiosk. Um, but another thing is like there was talks of like Tommy's father that were like, dad dead? Did he go away? But then we're kind of introduced to, I guess, the mom's co-partner, who I guess is a love interest, but we're not sure exactly.
I think he's her assistant. I think she's sleeping with her male assistant.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of
That's
like getting
what I
to.
kind of figured.
But then they kind of play it off like nothing's happening. Like, oh, we don't want you doing this in front of the house. But then
Yeah.
when they're at work, it just seemed like they're just work buddies. I wonder if there was like they were trying to do something there and it didn't work, so just kind of rewrote it.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. She's a boss bitch. She's probably
Yeah,
like,
got the whole
look,
company.
we're just fucking. That's all this is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need good morning kisses, and I don't need you to. I need you to be my assistant during the day.
Yeah, it's probably exactly what that is. Yeah, but they never went in with the father. The only thing that we got was like with the whole like toy room of like, this is, like my father's stuff, and it was his father's, and also his father's father's stuff.
Yep.
So it's like generations of generations
Yeah,
of toys. I live in that room. That is
I
such a
just.
great room.
It's like a dream room, because it's like
Oh.
there aren't any walls really. It's just like this black space
All the
filled
toys.
with toys. So many toys that are, he says, every toy my father got and his father before him. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like this weird like dream space of
Yeah.
um
Which
And
brings it back to that
Toyland.
like whimsical, like fantasy, like
Yeah.
vibe.
A lot of like different genres they're definitely pulling into this movie, but it all works. Honestly, this whole film works. There's not really one bad scene, except for the grenade one. That's like, come on, eat it up.
Mhm.
And as much as I didn't like the dog scene, I think it definitely it plays a big part in the story because, I mean,
It's a horror movie.
Yeah.
Things
You need
have
to.
to die eventually. Usually,
Raises the stakes.
gives Tommy some more motivation to get rid of this
but
guy.
I feel so bad for him because he believes in Santa Claus
Oh, I know.
so much.
This kid's gonna be traumatized.
Like he has his friend who comes over is even telling him, yeah, Santa Claus isn't real. But Tommy's like, no, he is. I'm talking to him right now in the forum. And at the end of the movie, it stops on such a gut wrench moment because he's like, I killed Santa Claus. I killed him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he says they'll never find his skeleton.
Yeah. Like, oh, I feel so bad for him. His dog dies,
Shit.
and then he thinks he's responsible. Why nobody in the world's gonna be getting their gifts now because he killed Santa
Yeah.
Claus. And it ends right there. It's just like, damn, what a way to end a movie.
And Tommy went to years of therapy.
Now he became
Yeah,
Santa
or-
Claus and did it to some other
yeah,
kid.
This is a prequel to Silent Night Deadly.
Oh
Yeah,
my
right.
god, that's actually a pretty good lineup. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
that because we are gonna be doing. I didn't release our schedule for the holidays, but we're gonna be doing Silent Night Deadly Night. That's gonna be kind of cool.
Sweet. Yeah, I love that movie.
And everybody's like, "Oh, it's a rated film now," because everybody watches it. It's like, but
So?
it's Silent Night Deadly.
Yeah, it's
I
awesome.
love it.
And it's
Punish.
the only
Garbage
person
day.
in the world, I think, the only person who has ever looked hot in a Santa suit.
Yeah, definitely. That film is great. It's got Linnea Quigley in it. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, it was a
If
great, great death, iconic death.
I actually have, I had last year I had some screens and stuff because we were streaming this. I would have different screens and it was all like Santa Claus, Silent Night, Deadly Night stuff, and he like animated the
Cool.
cover for me with Santa going down the chimney and everything. So I'm gonna have to try to
Oh,
get
that's so
that. I'm
cool.
gonna have to try to get that up and running for the holidays. Probably have to.
What if we got something like, you know, how, like we have the windows here, put
Yeah.
like snow on it or something.
I could probably edit that myself, to be honest. Kind of cool. Yeah, you don't see the screen we're looking at right now, but I'll send you copies of everything after, so you
Oh,
what it
cool.
looks like. But yeah, it's gonna be really fun. I was saying, I went to that rant with Silent Deadly.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to point out so the film opens with a quote, a poem, and
Oh, that's
it
right.
says, "All children believe in magic and cease to do so only until they grow up, except those who have been too disappointed by reality to expect any reward from it," which is really heavy.
Yeah, I was
Um,
reading that and I kind of just grazed when I was reading. I was like, okay, whatever, because it's such a heavy. There's a lot of information in there. It's heavy. It's a lot to unpack. But I guess
Yeah,
that the
but
movie kind
it's
of
kind of like
does.
the Polar Express. I thought it was very like the film was very much about whether or not you hear the bell ringing,
Yep.
Yeah,
because then it means if you don't hear the bell, then it's because you don't believe in Santa anymore, or your faith
Yep.
yeah,
has eroded. So with the friend being like, "Oh, Santa's not real," I kind of feel like the Santa is in a way like a representative of a child, like a childlike loss of innocence.
That's what
Like
I was just
he's just
thinking. Yeah.
that makes a lot of
become
sense actually.
jaded to life's problems, and he's taking
You
it
just see
out.
the world for what it is, you know, realizing the world, you know, how it is. Yeah.
Hmm.
This is why I love films, because especially doing podcasts
You
too.
can
It's like
interpret it so many different ways.
people
Hmm.
come on here that say things like what you just said that makes so much more sense about like what this film is. When Halloween Kills came out, we did an interview with one of my friends who does drum streams and stuff over on Twitch, and he opened up our minds so much of like how the film was good and it's not really bad. And I love that so much about doing this, because I didn't even think about that until you said that, like how it really is like a distortion of what he's representing.
Yeah.
And that quote really does fit like what this film is.
It kind of just sums up the movie in a little bit.
Yeah, so that's really good. So thank you for pointing that out, Kay.
Oh yeah, no, but it also kind of reveals that you know a sad future
Yeah.
for Tommy.
100% in his family. Grandpa didn't really
Yeah.
see what happened, but he knew what was happening. But
Well,
Grandpa saved the
Grandpa,
day.
he also, it seemed like he's someone who held on to his sort of wonder and childlike
For sure.
Yep.
demeanor. Like he was always so playful with Tommy, and never talked down to him. And I feel like he represents like keeping the faith, the warmth of believing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have the whole conversation about just because you don't what is it, just because basically they have a conversation about just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not real.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, he asked, do you believe in aliens? And what was another, there was a couple other things.
Cavemen.
They went back.
It was like
No,
aliens
yeah,
and
cavemen.
cavemen and stuff, and like, well, how do we know any of that's real? Like, well, they have like bones and stuff like that. And that's when he was like, well, no one's seen Santa Claus, and the grandfather's like, well, Claus isn't dead. Guess he technically is now. So,
Yeah.
get those bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, this film was kind of like all over the place. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm trying to think if there's any other like really standout moments that bring up, but I think that was Which,
He wasn't wearing shoes in the entire movie either. I can imagine what his feet must have looked like after this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I think he was kind of doing that so he wasn't hearing where he was.
Oh, yeah,
That's
that
what
makes
I was
sense.
thinking. Was like, I'm gonna go around. I mean, he probably could have put socks on.
See,
but
my dumbass would have been running around with boots on.
house is huge. Oh my god, that's another thing.
So big.
So big. And going back to the toy rooms. Yeah, my mom doesn't even know. Like, well, I guess I can kind of buy that because it's so big.
You know, it's funny too. The mother doesn't know exists, but then the Santa, he just walks by the. Oh, there's a secret entrance here.
Yeah, I guess maybe
Like-
because the mother's always at work, so she
Oh,
never
yeah.
has time to explain.
Mm.
He kind of takes care of everything. Boy, he's smart. He fixes cars. He drives
Oh,
cars.
I know, right?
He knows how to use all the cameras, all the equipment. I want to be that kid, and
Right.
I want to be that smart
Seriously.
right now. I want all those gadgets. Crazy.
He's one of those like.
So resourceful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, he's like one of those kids that went to fucking college at like 14 years old or something like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, he's an engineer.
I gotta look to see if the person who played Tommy ever went and did any other film. There's even any info on him. No info.
I didn't get to it yet, but there's one of the extras on the 4K disc is an interview with him, so I'm gonna check it
What?
out later.
Is it a recent interview?
I don't know,
Oh my god! Get back to me. Let me know. I gotta pick up that
dude. It is a gorgeous disc, and you know, speaking of the movie itself, like it is the production value. I mean, most European countries offer government funding to make films, so
Oh,
I'm
really?
sure that may have been there's like grants and stuff, so I'm sure maybe that's part of why the film is so the production is
Yeah.
so grand,
Yeah.
because it looks very expensive, but it's also so well lit, and the composition of the shots are, you know, very
Yeah.
deliberate and well visioned, and so it's also just a beautiful looking film.
It is.
Yeah, even just like watching it on Shutter, no like lit shots, nothing super fuzzy. There's might be a couple of them that are kind of slightly out of focus a little bit. There's one with like a fisheye lens when they're like scoping
Oh yeah.
the building that was just like okay, but I mean that's probably because they're using something small on a small project, you know.
But if you know how to use
Right.
work lighting and like the
Yeah.
work a camera, you can make anything really look good, you know, too. But
Yeah.
Absolutely.
but yeah.
So for the actor who played Tommy, I'm gonna butcher his name. Elaine.
I know there's so many
Elaine.
names that.
Apparently he was in Splice. Have you seen that movie, 2009? So apparently he was in Splice. That's like really the only thing that's popping
That's
up.
cool.
And-
All right, I'm gonna have to look into that.
okay, on his IMDb, it says that he did some like producing and visual effects. He did visual effects on the Suicide Squad. Is this the same person?
Whoa.
Suicide Squad 2021 visual effects. Avatar, he did visual effects.
Interesting.
So he actually has a lot of good stuff underneath his belt. I mean, it's not really
Wow.
acting, but I mean, visual
Oh, he's
effects
just
and
as-
stuff still good for the
just
movies
as
he was in.
resourceful as his character.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like wow. What does he look like now? A current picture of
scroll
him?
back.
Oh yeah,
He's
he's old. Is this the same guy? I'm
so.
so confused. He looks super old.
You
Would
should
he
bring
be
the
that
mullet
old?
back.
I mean,
He's
this was
like,
89, right?
Yeah, so
He
I
should
mean-
be in his 40s now, right?
I think he's like. I guess that he was like.
Yeah, I can pull up any
Yeah.
pictures, but that's just some stuff I'm reading off his IMDb. Usually IMDb doesn't lie. Hopefully that was the right person and not another
Just a
person
random
named
old dude.
by the same person.
I mean, it's a very specific name, but
Yeah.
we'll yeah, I'll look at the disc and I'll let you know.
Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely shoot. Pretty much all that I have to cover for the film. Is there any last minute thing on K? Aaron?
I just want to say that it's a really beautiful movie in the sense that it's the production design of the film is very much in line with like a Christmas fairy tale. Like it kind of has this sort
Yeah.
of magical whimsy about it,
Yo.
like a Christmas story. And so it's really cool to see that it leans into it. Even just how like the fake snow looks like, it looks like sort of like a Miracle on 34th Street.
Yeah.
If it had a Freddy Krueger on it.
Yeah, that's a good
So
way
it's
to put
just
it.
I think it's a great film for that, for just seasonal enjoyment, but it's also um
Super
I
fun.
totally lost my train of
It's
thought.
fun.
Yeah,
It's a super fun film.
And yeah, I
It's
like
very
how we
fun.
were talking about the lighting earlier too, but like how it's like dark, but it's also like you said, it's like bright and like whimsical at the same time, though.
Yeah.
So it's like it has like a sinister vibe to it, but it's also like kind of cheery and
Absolutely.
Yeah, it runs through its courses through this. It kind of easy everything,
and then it just fucking
and then
just
rams right into it as soon as the dog
Yeah.
is killed. That's pretty much
that just sets the tone for the rest of the movie,
Yeah.
basically.
And
then-
yeah.
I think it also reads very well as a straight up satire too. Like,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it could be
For sure.
very, very much seen as a comment, like a piece of film criticism on a whole entire genre, or like a moment in genre that was directly reflecting. And for the record, I think logistically it may not have been possible for John Hughes to have seen the film before Home Alone, just because of the timing and what it
Yeah.
takes to
Yeah,
All the
produce.
time that
but,
goes in.
but maybe a script. I will see how long. Maybe the script's been around, because it is so uncanny. Like, the
It is.
It's crazy.
similarities are so distinct that it's really, really hard to believe. But I can't hear the bells, so my faith is gone. So, but what do I know? But it is just, there are too many direct references that it's kind of hard to believe that there wasn't some
That there wasn't some kind of communication between them or something.
You know what we need to happen now is that we need is John Hughes is still doing stuff.
Oh no, he's dead.
He's dead? No, he's not.
Yeah.
What? I
Yes.
didn't know that. Okay, well, never mind. Well, for anybody who was on production for Home Alone, this is how like on other thing. For anybody who was in production
it's
for
sad, very sad.
yeah, for production of Home Alone, if there's anybody around, obviously Tommy is still. For anybody else that was associated with Deadly Game, Valid Code Santa Claus, them to come together and make a Home Alone game movie.
Yes.
So that way we can all die happy.
We get Tom.
Yeah.
What's his name? I say his name right.
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but let's do a girl this time. We've had
Right.
like what, 6 or 7 Home Alones plus this movie. It's like, give
They're
us a
all
little
boys.
girl
Didn't they
wreaking
just
havoc
remake
on.
Home Alone 2? I thought there was a remake that is like an actual that everybody's like review bomb.
Yeah.
And I don't want to watch
Oh,
it.
yeah, I haven't. It's a shame because the kid's funny. I know that he's the kid from Jojo Rabbit, the friend.
Oh, okay.
So he's very charming and funny, but yeah. I mean,
Stick to my classic.
I wasn't really interested in checking it out, but it looked harmless enough to me. Like, okay, this is a dumb kids film. The production looked good. Looked like it. The whole movie's about just little Dennis the Menace kind of gags.
Yeah.
But people hate it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Even Macaulay Culkin was like, I'm not associated with this at all. Just so you guys
Oh,
know, I'm not a part of this at all. Like, okay, I think we know that you don't. Oh, that's completely. Go do your own thing, and you're definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that pretty much concludes everything from Deadly Games. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Likewise, thank you.
Is there anything that you want to shout out for, like where anybody can find you, or anything you want people to pay attention to? Either you're doing, or you have a friend that you get a little bit more, or anything like that in the world of horror on your end.
Get your booster shot, and
Definitely do that.
and just in general, just just immerse yourself in whatever avenues of the genre that you find most interesting, whether it's certain subgenres or the production angle. Like, just the horror genre is so vast. And in addition to all the people in the filmmaking aspect of the industry, there are so many people in film criticism and academic circles and artists in general, visual artists and designers who are making horror inspired works. Just, I don't know, dig in, explore.
Awesome. Yep, and we'll definitely be for Salem Horror Fest next year, and hopefully anybody who hasn't heard of Salem Horror Fest before, you have heard of it now. and and I would imagine, I mean, obviously nothing is completely confirmed right now, but I would imagine that probably be a fest for next year, since that's been kind of, taking off with you. So for anybody who can't make it, there in person, if there's going to be an in-person one, which I'm hoping there's going to be, as long as people stop being stupid and do what they need to do. We will hopefully see everybody next year. I want to see more people there. There was a lot of people there this year, but I want to see even more.
Be cool to meet up with people.
Yeah, and we'll definitely seeing a lot more of you next year. I'm sure we'll probably reach out again. I'd love to have you back on, even if it's just to do another movie or anything like that.
Just shoot the shit and talk.
Our DMs are always open, so
to.
so anything that you think of, like, hey, you want to do this? Okay, I'm down for it. And also, if there's anything that we can do to help your job be any easier for the Salem Horror Fest stuff, we are 100% down. We want to be supporting even more than we are right now, if at all possible. So
even if it's just opinions on like ideas or something,
Yeah, like once again, we are gonna fully support everything. We're always gonna be there, and just keep doing what you're doing. You're an absolute queen, and everything that you are building, I think, will be here forever. And hopefully, be other avenues and maybe other little things that kind of branch off from this that will make your show and fest even better. Is there any last things you want to say, Aaron, before we decide to end it? Or Kay, anything? Are you guys good? Go ahead.
Thanks to Kay for doing everything you do for the community, and you really put yourself into the festival, and you kind of show your personality through the whole thing, and I love that a lot. Doing a lot of good things for the community. That's really appreciated.
It feels.
You guys are making me cry.
Well, it just feels good to finally be able to say these things I wanted to say for the longest time. Before we end it, we did do at the beginning of us doing this podcast, we Patreon stuff, and we did like a full 30-minute rundown of your fest, and I think we finally released it to everybody a couple months back.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. But
I think I listened to it. You did like a two-parter, right?
Yeah, I think so, something like that. It's definitely in the archives. But just being able to, even though it's not in person, it would be awesome to get you here in person at some point. But that would be way longer down the road once we actually have space for people, because that's the other thing that's kind of, keeping that on the fence. But just having you here in any shape or form is amazing. And thank you for giving us the time to, kind of just let you know how great everything you do is, and also come and review this amazing movie with us. It was a pleasure to have you on.
So appreciative. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. So this was the Baron's Hideout Podcast. I was your host, Dustin.
And I was your co-host, Aaron.
And now as our special guest, Kay Lynch, founder and creator of Salem Horror Fest. Thank you guys so much for being here, tuning in. Make sure you check out the festival. Make sure you check out everything that Kay does. Lots, so you can find her there. Also, come and support anything that we're doing. And guys, next time.
Stay spooky.